If you're a gun owner in America, the legal landscape beneath your feet just shifted dramatically. A federal appeals court has issued a ruling that dismantles years of gun control policy, and 10 major legal changes are already in motion. The 10th change is so extreme that what once could land you a decade behind bars is now considered a protected constitutional act. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications. What you're about to read could mean the difference between staying within the law and facing criminal prosecution. Law 1. The Constitutional Shield. A major shift has occurred in how the courts view your firearm rights. If you're not aware of it, you could be caught off guard as laws begin to change around you. Federal courts are now applying the same level of protection to the Second Amendment as they do to the First. That means your right to bear arms is now considered a top-tier constitutional freedom. This is a game changer because it flips the legal burden. Now, whenever the government wants to restrict gun ownership, it must meet the highest legal standard known as strict scrutiny. To pass this test, the government must prove 3 things, and all 3 must be airtight. First, they must show a compelling government interest. That means the issue must be urgent and serious, not just politically convenient. Second, they must prove the law is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. And third, they must demonstrate that no less restrictive alternatives exist. Legal experts believe this standard will invalidate 60 to 70% of existing gun laws nationwide. But this protection only matters if those who enforce the laws are held accountable when they overstep. Law 2. Officer accountability. Police officers who infringe upon your Second Amendment rights can now be held personally liable. This is already reshaping how law enforcement interacts with armed civilians. Previously, officers were protected by qualified immunity, a legal barrier that shielded them from lawsuits. That protection no longer applies to Second Amendment violations. Whether it's a local patrol officer, a sheriff's deputy, or a federal agent, they can now be sued individually for violating your gun rights. In Texas, 3 officers were ordered to pay $2.4 million out of their own pockets after wrongfully arresting a man for open carry. In Florida, an officer lost nearly $100,000 in retirement benefits after illegally confiscating firearms during a traffic stop. In Arizona, a deputy was fined $156,000 and permanently banned from law enforcement for unjustly holding a citizen's firearm for 6 hours. Departments are now warning their officers, violate gun rights, and you could lose your career and your savings. What would you do if the person who violated your rights had to pay you directly? Law 3. The end of gun confiscation. The government can no longer seize firearms without following full criminal procedures. This ruling has dismantled red flag laws, civil forfeiture programs, and administrative confiscations. These programs allowed guns to be taken based on complaints from ex-spouses, neighbors, or co-workers, often without the gun owner even knowing a case had been filed. Police would show up unannounced and remove every firearm from the home. To get them back, owners had to hire lawyers and fight in court, sometimes for over a year, with no guarantee of success. The new ruling makes it clear: guns cannot be seized without an arrest and full due process. That includes the right to face your accuser, challenge evidence, and present your side. In 21 states with red flag laws, around 15,000 firearms were confiscated last year. In over 2/3 of those cases, no criminal charges were ever filed. Some states took an average of 14 months to return firearms, and legal fees ranged from $8,000 to $12,000. If your guns were taken under these laws in the past 5 years, you now have the right to demand their return, but you must act within 90 days. Law 4. Database deletion order. The federal government has been ordered to destroy every digital record of gun owners within 90 days. This is one of the biggest privacy wins for gun owners in U.S. history. The ATF had been compiling a massive, searchable database by collecting paper records from closed gun stores. They could search your name and instantly see every gun you ever bought: models, serial numbers, calibers, dates, and locations. 6 states, California, New York, Connecticut, Illinois, Maryland, and New Jersey were feeding state-level purchase data into this federal system. The court has now demanded that all digital records be permanently erased, with third-party auditors confirming they cannot be recovered. ATF leadership could face criminal penalties if they fail to comply. The FBI was also secretly storing background check data for approved gun purchases, despite claiming they didn't. Internal audits revealed they kept this data for an average of 7 years. The court has ruled that gun ownership data cannot be collected or shared without a warrant tied to a specific crime. Law 5. Surveillance shutdown. Federal agencies are now banned from surveilling law-abiding gun owners without a warrant. Several covert programs have been shut down as a result. The NSA operated a program called Gun Watch that flagged people based on internet searches. Looking up terms like bulk ammo, AR-15 parts, or concealed carry laws could land you on a watch list. The Department of Homeland Security tracked firearm purchases through financial activity. Spending over $1,000 on guns or ammo in 30 days triggered a review. The ATF monitored private gun sales by watching online forums, social media, and even private messages. All of these programs have been terminated. The court ruled that exercising a constitutional right cannot justify mass surveillance. Just as the government can't track everyone who attends church, it can't monitor people simply for owning or buying guns. Digital data like credit card purchases, location history from cell phones, and online activity related to firearms is now protected. Over 50,000 gun owners were under surveillance without their knowledge. Early legal settlements are averaging $40,000 per person, with some reaching $75,000 or more. Law 6. Permit processing overhaul. All states must now issue concealed carry permits faster, cheaper, and with fewer barriers. There are 3 key requirements. Applications must be processed within 30 days, total fees cannot exceed $50, and no additional bureaucratic hurdles are allowed. States like New York were taking 8 to 12 months to approve permits. California was charging over $300 in combined fees. New York currently has 47,000 applications that have been pending longer than 30 days. Hawaii had only issued 226 permits statewide before this ruling. Now they've been forced to approve over 3,000 in the last month alone. If your application has been pending for more than 30 days, it's automatically approved under federal law. You can send a certified letter to your issuing authority demanding immediate approval. If you were previously denied for not showing proper cause, you can reapply, and your old denial can't be used against you. This is the largest expansion of concealed carry rights in U.S. history, with millions of new permit holders expected. Law 7. Ammunition access restored. Ammunition is now treated like any other legal product. States can no longer impose special rules that don't apply to everyday goods. California required background checks for every ammo purchase. New York banned online sales and blocked shipments from out of state. Connecticut limited how much ammo you could buy at once. Illinois required a special ID card that took months to get and cost $10 per year. The court ruled that restricting ammo while claiming to protect gun rights is like protecting free speech but banning ink and paper. The Second Amendment includes the right to acquire ammunition, not just firearms. California ran over 4 million ammo background checks last year. Many people were denied due to typos, outdated addresses, or minor name mismatches. All such restrictions are now invalid. Ammo can be bought over the counter without paperwork or checks. You can buy from any state, stock up during sales, and order online without fear. Online ammo sales have jumped 340% in states that previously banned them. Nearly 2,800 stores that stopped selling ammo due to red tape are now restocking. Law 8. Dealer license safeguards. Gun stores now have the same legal protections as any other business. The ATF can no longer shut them down over minor paperwork errors. Previously, the ATF used aggressive inspections and zero-tolerance policies to revoke licenses over things like writing a middle initial wrong. The new standard is clear. Licenses can only be revoked for intentional criminal violations. Simple errors can be corrected, but they don't justify losing your livelihood. New license applications applications must be processed within 60 days, or they're automatically approved. Home-based dealers are now protected from local zoning harassment. In the past year, the ATF revoked 122 licenses for what they called willful violations, but most were clerical mistakes. Since the ruling, new license applications are up 89% as entrepreneurs no longer fear arbitrary shutdowns. Law 9. Warrantless search ban. Federal agents can no longer enter your property to inspect firearms without a warrant. The ATF had been conducting surprise visits to homes and businesses, demanding to see gun collections or record books. The court has ruled these actions unconstitutional. Agents must now obtain a warrant based on specific criminal allegations. This applies to private collectors, gun shops, shooting ranges, and homes. The ATF conducted over 2,400 warrantless inspections in the past 3 years. Victims are now winning settlements averaging $75,000, with some exceeding $100,000. If federal agents show up unannounced, you have the right to demand a warrant. Without one, they cannot search your property. Law 10. Cross-state transport freedom. You can now legally travel with firearms across state lines without fear of arrest in restrictive states. This change affects more gun owners daily than any other. Previously, carrying a legally owned firearm through anti-gun states could result in a 10-year federal prison sentence. That's no longer the case. The court has affirmed that your right to transport firearms is protected nationwide, even in states with harsh gun laws. This is especially important for travelers, truckers, hunters, and anyone moving through multiple states. The ruling ensures that your constitutional rights don't disappear at the state border. Make sure you subscribe to Weapons Law Advisor, and don't forget to like and comment on the video to help us reach our amazing milestone of 10,000 subscribers. Every single subscriber matters. Your support is what makes this journey possible.